Hey everyone, I'm Fred Arranger and I hope you're doing good. Wow, if you are a Fujifilm shooter, you are in luck because they've just dropped one of the most interesting firmware update with the 2.0 version. It's right down here, down below if you want to download it. And here's 3 reasons why you should do it. Because if you own one of these 2 babies, which is the Fujifilm X-T3 or the X-H1, you are in luck. Here's why. So the first thing is that if you own the X-H1, and I've been rocking it for the past several months, and if you shoot video with it, you will be happy to learn, and this is my top 1 feature why you should download the firmware update, it's image stabilization. They've done 2 things that are very, very important. The first one, they've been able to create an algorithm that makes the lens, or a stabilized lens like the 10-24 that I have on there, and the body, which offers already 3-axis stabilization, to work in tandem. So now you're getting 5, let me put my 5 fingers here, 5-axis image stabilization. This is massive. So when you do, panning like that, when you handheld a shot in very low light in photography, when you're actually using it as a vlogging camera and you walk with it on a GorillaPod or whatever, if you're holding it in your hands like that, you are going to get a very stable shot. So this is the first one. This is the first reason why you should upgrade your camera. The second one is a little bit more subtle one, but it has to do with image stabilization also. They've been able to correct the little, problem where when you were panning like that, it was introducing some shake. And it was not necessarily shake from your hand, it was actually some, I like to call it wobbliness in the image. So they've been able to correct that, and now you get a very stable shot. So for all of those like me who are using the X-H1 as a video camera, anything that can help with the stabilization of the footage, we are going to take it. And the third one, and maybe one of my biggest, concern when I was shooting, it was the fact that every time a file was reaching 4 gigabytes on a 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes or any type of SD card, anytime I would get to 4 gigabytes, it would actually create another file. So now these days are over. If you record, for 10 minutes long and your files, you're recording in 4K because this, little camera records in 4K, 200 megabytes per second, or even 400, I think, externally. You can now generate one file that will not be sliced after all 4 gigabytes. It seems, minor, but when you're editing in Final Cut or in Premiere and you get all these little files, you need to stitch it together. Sometimes there's a little click in the sound. Not anymore. This is now a camera that can record up to 30 minutes in one single file. The only caveat though is that you need to have bigger SD cards than 32 gigabytes. So, these Lexar 64 gigabytes are pretty good. It won't focus because it's trying to focus on my face. Okay, so anyways, trust me, this is 64 gigabytes, and I also have some 128 gigabytes and some 32 gigabytes, but you will have to go with a higher capacity card to be able to beneficiate from that upgrade. The one thing I would say about the X-T3, I haven't shot a lot with the X-T3. I haven't had the time to test it a lot yet, but I am bringing it in on a trip to Sedona and Phoenix in a couple days. We're gonna spend a lot of time there, and we're gonna do some night photography and so on. But the one thing that I know that they've upgraded in this camera, it's the HLG format, which is a video format that lets you capture a lot of dynamic range, from very, very bright area to shadow. And when you, edit it in post, you have more wiggle room to play with it. So that's something I'm planning on testing. This doesn't have in-body stabilization, so it doesn't beneficiate from all the great updates that Fujifilm has built for the X-H1, but there's plenty of other stuff, and I'll leave a link down below to see all the different points that Fujifilm have made for the X-T3. But again, I don't want to talk, I don't want to speak out of terms. I like to speak about gear that I know, and one thing that I know is that this camera, I'm upgrading it right now, and I want to make sure that I'm testing it and reporting on the different upgrades that I talked about to see if it's actually working as described. If it works as they describe it with a 5-axis, if they work have they described for the, you know, little wobbliness that they corrected, and also the 4 GB file. I think this is now, you know, for me, a very capable camera. Some also reported that the autofocus has been improved. I'm looking forward to that. It was already pretty accurate, pretty good, but if you look at what they've done with the X-T3, they've killed it, they've nailed it with the eye autofocus. Let's see how they do for the X-H1. So that's it, guys. These are my top 3, and I give you, you know, a bonus, the 4th one for the X-T3. But these are my top features on why you should download the 2.0 firmware update that's down below. If you like what you're seeing, please give this video a thumbs up because it helps me tremendously with growing this channel and growing the community. If you are interested in knowing when my next video will be up, please hit that bell notification and you'll get a notification. How cool is that? And thirdly, if you want to make sure to follow and share this channel with a friend who might be interested in Fujifilm gear or Sony gear or whatever, you know, just photography and storytelling in general, please make sure to point it to my channel. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's @FredRanger. So that's it. Go download your firmware update, be happy, enjoy life, and enjoy your firmware updates. Cheers.